So today I actually wanted to talk about money and things like pricing and how to increase your prices and things like that, because I thought to myself, that's a popular topic, like that's one that people will listen to. And then I remembered something about what's popular is not necessarily what's important. And recently in my newsletter, I asked the listeners and readers of the newsletter, what if I could record one podcast episode for you, what would it be? And no one said, "Can you help me with my pricing?" Even though it is a question that comes up once in a while, and I hope to do an episode on it in the future. But what came up was, I exhausted all of the ideas you sent me, and then I thought about what are trainers really going through right now. And over the last 12 months or so, through courses and just calls and just checking in with my readers and probably you who are listening to this, you may have exchanged emails with me. We might have even jumped on a call together. And I remember saying to my wife, there's this thing in business where, especially around content, when you're looking for ideas of what content to create, you just go to your audience and you say, what do you guys need help with? And I said to her, they're all so different. This person wants to do this person's doing this boot camp, this person's wanting to get into online training, this person's retiring, blah, blah, blah. For every single one of them, it felt like you had a different problem. And that's part of what started this podcast. I was like, great, I can just do a podcast episode on each problem. And then I can refer other people to it if I meet someone who has the same problem. But it came to me today when I was thinking about I was driving my daughter to school. I was thinking about, what am I going to record the podcast on today? I guess we could play it safe, do a podcast about pricing. But I think the episodes, it seems like you who are listening have enjoyed the most by the comments and reactions you've given to me, are the episodes where we kind of really dive into the heart of what it is. And that is meant to be the point of this. The warm-up is meant to be about warming you up, getting you in the mindset where you can do the work that you want to do. And part of that is kind of getting out of your own way as well, getting out of your head, actually doing the work. So this is a really long way of me saying, I did work out that there is a common thread. It came to me in the car. There is this common thread that you've all had as I've spoken to you, and it's that you're in a stage of pivoting in your business. There's something happening. For some of you, you've been following me for a long time. Some of you have been following me for over 10 years, which is just, each year has been its own year, and so I don't really think about it being so long. But when I speak to someone who's like, yeah, I've been following you since 2013, it's like, wow, thank you. And so some of you are reaching the end of your career. You probably had already been training people for 15 years before you came across my stuff. And now you're reaching a point where you're like, I want to scale back. I want to travel more. My husband or my wife is retiring and I don't want to be in the gym all the time anymore. I want to change what I'm doing. So you're looking at ways that you can do that. Is it a seasonal boot camp which just runs some time of the year? Is it getting into this online training thing that lots of people seem to be doing? Is it still running your boot camp? Is it going into small group stuff? Is it doing more PT stuff? Is it retraining in a new skill like Pilates or something like that, because maybe your body can't handle delivering the classes that you used to deliver? Or maybe you're seeing an opportunity in the industry for something else and you're like, I kind of want to get into that. So it's a stage of pivoting, and we all became pivot experts during COVID, but not many of us liked it. And because of the dynamic situation of a pandemic, it wasn't like we weren't pivoting necessarily towards what we wanted. We were just pivoting to survive. And now I think we've recovered a bit. And now I feel like the common thread from all of you is thinking about, how can I pivot to really create a business and a lifestyle that I love and that I want to keep doing for the next, maybe 10 years. whether that's into retirement or whether you're just getting things going. And this is what I'm hearing. So today I want to talk about the future of fitness and the future of yourself in fitness and what it means with things like AI and things like that coming in. And to do that, I want to first go back to my own story of when I made a big pivot in the industry. So cast your minds back to 2013. And I was a young, I think I was trying to work at that before, about 26 years old. 25, 26 it would have been, 2013. And I was realizing that I had achieved everything I wanted to achieve with my bootcamp. I had grown it to a size I was doing really well. I had gone through a period of cutting back. So I was bringing other trainers in, had everything really well systemized. Everything was running really well. And so, yeah, I guess I reached a point where I was like, well, what's the next challenge? Do I start in a new location? What do I do? And meanwhile, I've been running bootcamp ideas and it was doing well. It wasn't, it was making some money. It definitely wasn't making enough money to live off, but I was really excited about this idea of working on it full time. And I was excited about also traveling to America and meeting other people who were running their own businesses. Because back then in 2013, especially in Australia, people were not running their own. Trying to explain to people what Bootcamp Ideas was, because people just didn't make any money online. Now everyone's got a little thing that they've got going on, but back then it was so foreign, or at least they follow someone who makes their living online now. Whereas back then, yeah, it was just so foreign to people. Some people would be like, "Are you scamming people?" Like, because you're doing something online. Because the internet was like kind of a weird, dark place with like some people who took advantage of people. And even I remember, selling my first ebook, I had to use this really clunky software. I had to do a lot of research into the payment gateway when we sold the first bootcamp. It was called the Little Bootcamp Book of Workouts. Some of you listening to this probably bought that. I think it was $29 when it came out on sale day, and then it went up to about $59. And that was just the tactic. That was what we did back then. And yeah, it was a really clunky system. I don't think it even spoke to my email provider, so I had to like manually import everyone as they came in onto my email list to make sure they got my emails. Lots of people followed the blog through something called RSS, where they didn't even sign up for an email list. They signed up for a thing called RSS, which is still around, but it's not really used anymore. So it's a very different time. And I was like, and in Australia, yeah, I wasn't getting the peer support that I was looking for. So I was like, look, pretty much everyone I'm reading about who's doing this online thing is doing it from America. So I want to go over there. While I'm there, I can learn from some American coaches who are also really at the cutting edge of training people at the time as well. So I suggested the idea to Zoe, who's now my wife. She was super on board. I mean, why not move overseas and go traveling? And so we had sort of a 6-month plan to wrap up our fitness stuff, and we got married, and off we went. And it was a great experience. There were some really hard things about the experience, but overall it was a great experience. And I was able to successfully, through much trial and error, so many experiments, eventually get Bootcamp Ideas to a point where I could live off the income from it. It was still very rocky though, and certainly wasn't as consistent, even the highs and lows with being a trainer. So, and then I spoke a little bit about in my burnout episode. So if you listen to the burnout episode, that's probably a good one that links in with this one. So I'll link to that below. And I'm going to start numbering these podcast episodes so I can be like, hey, go listen to burnout episode number blah, blah, blah. And I can't remember right now which one it is. It's probably going to be like 3 or 4 of this new series. So yeah, I went overseas and I've kind of skipped a lot of the hard stuff because there was a lot there. There was a lot there in the pivoting and starting and working online, running your own business, trying to work out all this online stuff. I already knew a lot because I'd been running Bootcamp Ideas for 3 years, but there was another big gap in really understanding what do I need to deliver in order to get people to pay, like in order that people would want to pay me money, enough money that I could live off it. So instead of just a little like thing here or there, I actually needed a consistent way that I was helping people so that they would, you would support me. And what ended up coming out of that was Bootcraft, which was a membership site. It is a membership site for group fitness trainers that contains a whole library of fitness ideas that gets regularly updated. So that's sort of the arc of that pivot in my life. And now what I'm finding is that I am like all of you, where I am on the cusp of, I can feel another pivot. Still want to keep Bootcamp Ideas going, still keep Bootcraft going, but I feel the urge to get back into training. And for a long time, I haven't trained people. I've sort of filled in, a trainer down here has gone away on holiday or something like that for a few weeks. And I've said, yep, I'll take your classes just to keep my skills sharp. But even that, since having kids, it's been a while. And I'm noticing, and I'm just going to share with you guys exactly what I'm going through, because I think and I feel that it's what a lot of you are going through as you think about what's next for you as a trainer. So hopefully by me sharing what I'm going through and what I'm feeling, even though in some ways it feels a bit embarrassing to share this stuff, I'm hoping that it will make you feel like you're not as alone. And that's the point of this podcast. So probably for the last 12 months, I've been like sort of starting to notice the itch to get back into training people. But I've also noticed this weird thing where I'm like, I need to start a bootcamp. I run a website called Bootcamp Ideas. I teach people about bootcamps. I know a lot about bootcamps. Why is there no feeling of excitement in me around starting a bootcamp? Why is there hesitation? Why do I think about that and I go, oh, like I like bootcamps. Why don't I want to run one? And I felt guilty and shame about that because I was like, I'm helping other people run boot camps and I'm telling them what to run and telling them that it's a good thing to do. And yet I don't want to do it. And there was a bit of a disconnect there. And of course, now I realize like, that's okay. It's good that we want to do different things. So if you want to run a boot camp, that's awesome. And I will help you do that. And that's actually two separate things between what I want to do. And I think that's always the sign of a good coach. A coach doesn't need to be exactly like you. A coach just helps you achieve the things that you want to achieve. And you'll see that in great trainers. Like you might have a trainer who loves strength training, but they'll train people from all walks of life. They'll train people who just want to stay fit. They'll train people who are training for an event, like a marathon. A marathon runner doesn't want to bulk up, but they can still benefit from working with a strength coach. So wrapping my head around that, I just wanted to be more open about that as well. So what has been, after 12 months, I've been like, I want to get back into training, but I don't know what it looks like. And I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself that it has to look like a boot camp, even though I know that's not what's lighting me up anymore. And what is lighting me up is the idea of training men in a small group setting. So there's already options around here because I love finding the opportunities who are the people who are not being served. And there's a lot of options around here for there's a CrossFit, there's a couple of gyms. So a lot of options around here for kind of more of the like heavy duty fitness, I'll call them heavy duty fitness options, where it's like, it's a lot. It's loud music, it's beep timers going off, it's lifting heavy weights fast, it's a competitive environment. And I don't thrive in that environment. I've got several friends who go to CrossFit. They keep trying to convince me to go, and I'm like, no, I just know that that's not for me. So yeah, that's what I'm getting interested in. Is like other men like me work for themselves, who want who want to lift weights, who want to do that stuff, but they just don't want to do it in that setting. They want to do it in a more of a private setting. And that's getting me really excited. And I can hear it even in my voice as I talk to you. And if you're watching the video, you see me smiling. That's getting me really excited. The idea of helping men do that. And for me, it doesn't need to make me a full-time income. It may turn into that if it really takes off and I really love it. But for now, I think focusing on what do I feel energized about and what do I feel excited about is really key in working out what me returning to fitness and returning to being a trainer looks like. And that's it. And now what I'm dealing with is I need to get started. I need to create that momentum. And that feels really hard because there's no momentum there right now. And I need to find those first few clients and I need to get going. And actually that is a podcast episode I want to do, which is on finding your first 10 clients. So why don't we do one on that? And then I can share with you a bit about how I'm approaching that. But yeah, let's keep this episode on the emotions of going through a pivot in your career. And it's really nervous, really scary. It's scary to think about reaching out to people. And I've been doing this a long time and I coach all you guys to do it. And it's still, because it's new, because it's unproven, because it might not work, it brings with it that sense of fear and trepidation. And luckily I've been doing that long enough to know that's normal. And in fact, that's a good sign that I'm feeling that, because it means that I want to do it. So that's what's coming up. That's what's coming up for me with that. And that's what, now it's cool. I know what it looks like. And now it's a matter of like, I need to start taking action on that. And so for you, if you're in that stage of, I know I want to do something different, but I don't know what it is yet, you might want to do a series of different experiments, even if they're just like journaling about what different things could look like, until you find one that you notice you start really getting excited about. If you're like me, where you've identified what you want to do, but you're just having trouble making that change, I want you to just know that the fear that you're feeling around change and doing something different is normal. And as Seth Godin, this guy, this author that I love, and his words have been very helpful to me throughout my business career since I started. Seth talks a lot about how by us having the courage to do the thing that might not work, but also that might just work, it's our gift that we give other people. And these days with the online world, you see so much copying people, and a lot of people having a lot of financial success just copying what other people are doing, just repurposing the same content, just doing it over and over again. That's not a gift to the world. Yes, it's a gift to the algorithm because the algorithm loves it, but it's not a gift to people. And so don't get distracted by that too, thinking like, I'm not even thinking about creating a social media account for this business. I'm making a list of who do I think would be interested, or which women whose husbands I think will be interested, writing those names down, and I'm going to have a conversation with each of them about whether they're interested in this. So that's what I'm thinking about. I'm not looking to win a popularity contest here. I'm looking to help people. And that's much scarier than, in some ways, than creating a piece of content and then being like, oh, well, it didn't work, so I guess this is not a good idea. And actually going out and talking to people and testing your idea and seeing if people actually want it. So that's one part of what I'm getting excited about. There's another part I'm getting excited about, and it's, I cannot believe that these words are about to come out of my mouth, but it is online fitness coaching. I cannot believe I'm saying that, and now it's out. It's in public. Online fitness coaching. You know how much I care about getting people together and putting them in the same room. And that's why with the training I'm looking at doing, I'm not going to make a boot camp, but it's still going to be group. It's going to be like 4 or 5 guys training at once, and building that community and building that connection. Because let's talk for a minute about AI. AI is here to, we need to talk about AI if we're going to talk about online training. And one of the things AI can't do at the moment is they can't get a big group of people together and exercise together with a real person present. I mean, it could do some of the logistical stuff, but ultimately having a real person there who's talking to you and talking you through things, that's still reserved for humans. It probably will get replaced at some time. We'll have like a hologramic trainer who will like stand there. But even then, it'd be interesting to see if we have the same biological reactions around being that we get at the moment about being around other people if we'd have that about being around AI. So this is one of the things that I think is still important, that there should be some element of your business, even if you're looking at doing online stuff, that's still face to face, and it's going to keep your skills up as well. But as I start thinking about online stuff, one thing that is changing is that, and I'm already seeing it, I got advertised a product the other day that it's like a giant mirror. It looks like a giant phone. It's like a giant mirror, and there's a platform, like a yoga mat but hard, that comes out from it, so it's in an L shape. And then there's these adjustable resistance like motors that attach to the bottom, so it's all cable type machine, and that brings up your program, and it's an AI thing, and it corrects your technique and stuff like that. So there's only a matter of time until the very apps that online trainers are using at the moment to track clients' nutrition or track their programs are just going to get outright, that those apps are going to start developing their own AI trainers. So now, instead of paying someone hundreds of dollars a month to do their programming and stuff and their nutrition, you would just be able to add a $20 a month subscription to your app, and the app will actually do it for you, and it'll probably do it reasonably well. Like, unless you're a very specific person with a very specific set of needs, it's probably going to do it better than we'd like. It's not going to make us feel good. So what I see health coaching for me is two parts. If I'm doing it online, it's less about writing the programs and doing the nutrition for people, and it's more going to be about helping them build the habits and keeping that accountability of like a human being actually paying attention. So it's going to really be about seeing people, which is what you do in your group fitness sessions right now. It's going to be about seeing people, making them feel seen, making them be like, hey, I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention to what you're doing, and guiding them through the obstacles that they're going to come across. And as a trainer, if you're looking at making this move, as a trainer with years of experience, you're in a great position to do that. You already know all the obstacles because you've helped people in real life go through it. And that's what's kept people training with you for years and years and years. And this brings me to another story of going back to when I finished up running my bootcamp. I had one of my clients who came up to me and he said, I just want to thank you because I'm the fittest that I've ever been in my life. And it's thanks to, like, there are so many trainers online who would look at what I did with the boot camps back then, with having different sessions, stuff like, they'd be like, this is dumb, this is stupid. Like, why have you got people playing games? What are they? I feel like there's so much seriousness now in fitness. It's a bit annoying. Yet, how did I get someone into their fittest period of their life? Because I made the training interesting. Because the training was interesting and they wanted to come to it and they loved the environment. And I even remember there was a period for this client, which as a young, I'll call myself a kid, as 24, 25-year-old, I didn't really think about it very much, but he was flying from Melbourne to Perth during the week. So he would train with me on a Monday. He would fly to Melbourne to Perth for work. He would fly back and get up early with very little sleep to come to that Friday session. And looking back at that now, like, that's a big deal that he did that. A lot of people that they change jobs or have something like that come up in their career, and they just be like, you know what? I'm just going to let the fitness stuff go. I see it all the time. I see it happen with my wife's business. I see it all the time. We're just going to let that go. And the fact that he kept coming, there's obviously something that was right. So that's what, with online fitness, that's the bit you have to deliver. It's going to be less about the programming, less about the nutrition, because that can all just be replaced. Like, an AI will be able to do that very quickly. It's going to be about what's that factor that keeps the person showing up and sticking to their goals day in, day out. And if you can start developing that skill, which you've already got because you're already probably doing it with your clients, if you can just work out how to get that online, then that's definitely an option for you. And so this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm seeing is the kind of way forward for a lot of trainers. It's going to be a hybrid element. And I know a lot of you are already thinking about, oh, I want to bring out a course or I want to do this. But I would say stop listening. I didn't come up with these ideas by listening to what one specific person told me to do. I sat back and I've sat with this for 12 months to think about, what do I want to do? What does it really look like? What is going to work for clients? And that's what I want you to encourage you to do as you're going through this. And I want you to trust that. That's the other thing. I know a lot of you have got ideas going on and you're not trusting those ideas. Instead, you're listening to maybe, it's like, stop listening. No, keep listening to this podcast. But you're not trusting yourself with the other ideas that are coming up, that you're having. Because maybe you're stuck on like, how does that work? Well, that's what I'm here for. Send me an email. Like, I'm very good at working this stuff out, and I'll do everything I can to help you. I would love to hear from you what your ideas are. So actually, I'm going to wrap up the podcast with that. And I want to know if you are someone who feels like, I feel my energy is waning for the way my business currently is, and I'm starting to feel either an interest in doing something new, or I'm starting to feel an interest in, or I know what it is I want to do and I'm just hesitating. Like, I'd love for you to leave a comment. If you're on Spotify, you can just leave a comment straight on this podcast. Just grab your phone out now. Or I'd love for you to email me. And you can do that through my website on bootcampideas.com. Just go to contact, or shoot me an email I think it'll be all right to read this out. Shoot me an email at kyle@bootcampideas.com. Or if you're already on the newsletter, just reply to one of the newsletters. I'd love to hear what is the thing. Are you in that stage, or are you thinking about going to that stage? Or do you just love, like, it's also okay to just love where you're at the moment. You should enjoy building the thing that you're building. Or maybe you're at the stage of like, you're doing a lot of personal training and just thinking about starting a boot camp. That's awesome as well. And maybe you're just feeling like there's a new skill set. There's going to be skills as a trainer that are going to come with you from person to person. And there's also from venture to venture, from business model to business model. And it's important that you recognize that you're not completely starting from scratch, because you're bringing all those skills with you. There is just going to be another little skills gap. And the other thing I want to say is that, and this is going to sound so cheesy, but it's true, and that's, the world is waiting for you to take action and do the thing that you're going to do. It's waiting for you to take that first step. And it might not work, but it might work. And with that, I'm going to leave it there for today. Get in touch with me if this resonated with you, and I'll chat to you next week.